I'm registered dietitian Abby Sharp, and on my new podcast, Bite Back with Abby Sharp, I'll be dismantling the multi-billion-dollar diet industry that keeps us in a cycle of self-loathing and food fear. Join me every Tuesday for expert interviews, engaging conversations, and my signature science and sass to bust myths, correct misinformation, and help you break free from diet culture for good. Listen for free on the Seeker app or wherever you get your podcasts.
You're listening to a Frequency Podcast Network production.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Welcome to Wednesday. My name is Brock.
I'm Dalby.
It's official. Donald Trump is president, won 51% of the vote. We do talk some election stuff throughout the day, but don't worry. Like we said yesterday, we have no opinions on anything.
At no point during this next 30 minutes or however long this podcast ends up being are we going to be like breaking down the future of the country or the continent or any of that stuff. As a matter of fact, we talk about silly things like, can you make a phone call while your camera is open?
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a bit, but you did find a funny thing about what's going to happen next in American politics.
So, because Kamala Harris is the vice president,
Right.
technically, it is her job to, I guess, introduce the next president.
To ratify the election results, yeah. To be like, okay, the election is over. I, as the vice president, sign off and say that you are the official winner, person who just crushed me in an election.
That's like introducing your ex's new boyfriend. Like, that sucks so bad.
Picking up the check for their first date.
Yeah. It's basically like, remember when you were a kid and you finished sports and you had to do the handshake line after good game?
Yeah. Go back to the person that just beat you and you're dying on the inside, but everybody said sportsmanship, good game.
She's Connor McDavid crying after the Stanley Cup going through the handshake line.
Standing in her hotel room. We need to lock the fuck in!
Well, that didn't happen.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
I'm going to break group chat code here because usually what hits the group chat stays in the group chat.
Right. Well, it's meant for a specific audience, sure.
But my buddy John sent a message to me and my buddies last night, and he was asking about, like, how do patents work? Like, how do you go about getting a patent and all this stuff?
Okay.
My one buddy Dalton's pretty smart, so he was, explaining that to him. And then we're like, well, what's this all about? And he says, I have an idea for the shovel. I'm like, what?
Like, just sorry, is he talking about, do you guys have a specific shovel relevant to the group chat, or is he just talking about the shovel as a product?
I said, what are you trying to reinvent the shovel? All he said is, I have an ingenious idea, and there's no patent for it.
Okay.
He said, I'm drawing it up tonight, and I'll get back to you guys. And that's all we heard from him.
He left you hanging?
So I've been trying to rack my brain since last night.
As to what it could be.
How are you reinventing the shovel? I mean, are you just going to do something that makes it so your wrists don't hurt? Like,
I mean, I think the closest we've ever come to reinventing the shovel was those, like, battery-powered snow thrower shovels a few years ago.
There was those shovels for the winter where they put the wheels on them, too.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there
kind
are
of the arc in the shovel as well.
New technology in the blade that goes along the bottom of it.
I was thinking maybe he's going to put, like, hand warmers in it, kind of how you can get on your snowblower.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I don't hate that idea. I'm trying to think of, like, what would make it easier. Like, right away, like, my back tenses up when I talk about shoveling. So maybe like some kind of like a hinge so that you're not having to like scoop.
I think that's already a thing though, isn't it?
You know, I don't go to Home Depot a lot. I might have been missing out on shovel technology.
Sure. Dude, I could not figure it out. And then I asked him, I was like, could I get you on the show? He's like, dude, I'm not going to talk about it on your show and have someone steal my patent.
Damn, he's taking this very seriously.
I know. I'm so curious on what it is. And Courtney actually had the most genius idea.
Okay, what's Courtney's
She said
idea?
maybe it's like a Swiss Army knife where it's like a shovel that can turn from a shovel into a rake to a hoe, anything you need.
A multi-tool for like home and garden work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Like the Inspector Gadget shovel, basically.
I have to imagine that would be heavy as hell, though.
Yeah.
Like, you know, not that a shovel is a particularly wieldy piece of equipment, but like to have all these different attachments where you're just trying to go out and shovel snow or rake the lawn is probably It's probably a lot.
Go bayonet, like out of nowhere. Like,
what are you doing with the bayonet?
I don't know.
He's trimming trees, I guess, maybe?
There's so many questions for this guy, and he won't answer a single one.
Dude, imagine the crazy thing is if Courtney got it right and you just did give away this guy's patent live on the radio.
Sorry, John.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
All right, this morning we were playing Shark Tank. Because we've got a lot of people who think they've got some great invention ideas here on the text line at 762-555.
I have dozens of dollars I'm ready to invest in the next great invention that's going to make us super rich.
All right, we'll run through these and see what we think about them.
You tell me the idea and I'll tell you if I'm in or if I'm out. You're always talking about how rich I am.
Sarah texted in and said, what about a mood ring coffee sleeve so you could tell how hot your coffee was just by looking at it so you don't burn your mouth?
I mean, I would just assume that any coffee you come across is hot. Like, just hold it to your mouth, and if it's steaming, don't drink it.
Yeah.
I don't think that's an invention that we need. I just don't feel like we need to make it easier for people to not burn themselves.
You should be able to figure that one out yourself.
We teach babies this.
But then again, we live in a stupid world. People would buy it.
You know what? I might be in on that. You're right.
Someone else, kind of a similar thing, said a microwave that shows... Sorry, let me read this again. Microwave that shows a heat map of your food on the door of the microwave, telling you how warm your food is and if you need to microwave it warm. So basically, rather than taking out your Hot Pocket and being like, the middle's still cold.
Take out the dumb window that I don't need anyway. Put in an infrared screen.
That's actually kind of genius.
Oh, I am all in on that.
It's like an X-ray scanner of your Hot Pocket, basically.
There's nothing worse than biting into a Pizza Pop and it's on one end the hottest thing you've ever held, and in the middle it's still a stone-cold chunk of frozen pepperoni.
The Sharks are interested in that one, Tom.
Fully in.
Another one here says a light switch or a faucet that shows how much money you are spending while using.
No, I don't. I don't want that because that's just going to make me sad, and I think I'm not the only one.
But it would be a great thing to be like to your kids, just be like, you just wasted $2.
You know what's going to happen? I'll tell you this right now, and I know you don't have kids, but think back to a young Brock Lewis. Your dad just put in taps that show a running count of how much money it cost as the water's running. Mm-hmm. You're just turning on the tap.
Yeah.
You're just turning on the tap to watch the numbers go up.
That's so true, actually. That's like, 100% true.
It's only going to cause parents stress, and kids are going to troll their parents with it. I am out.
Dave texted this one in. He said, an elevator button that cancels the button when pressed a second time.
Oh,
which if you lived in an apartment, you know there's nothing worse than clicking the wrong button, I guess is what he's saying.
Right, and then the elevator has to stop. Or you get like some dumb kid. This all keeps coming back to kids. And just come in and push all the buttons. And you're like, oh, great. Now we have to stop on every floor. How have we not invented a button that turns off?
It's just logic is all it is.
Hold down the third floor button. We don't stop on the third floor anymore.
There's some smart people that listen to this show.
I'm in on that one.
Someone said Tupperware that's impossible to stain. I think that might be impossible.
I can't invest in Tupperware knowing that eventually you're going to steal it from my house.
I think even better, you make pre-stained Tupperware, ones that already come with the pasta stains in them.
What? All our Tupperware is clear now. Do you not remember? Our parents all had these, like, colored Tupperware that couldn't stain because they were already red.
Yeah.
Why did we stop doing that?
And last one here. This comes from Mike. He says, a little exhaust fan that hooks onto your car window so you can smoke with the windows up in case of rain, cold, snow.
You know what? It sounds dumb. But when I was smoking and I was in the car and it's minus 40, you could have sold me one of those for $100 and I wouldn't have batted an eye.
Where was this thing in high school when I was trying to get away smoking in my room?
That's right. Oh, my God. There's so many other uses for this. We could turn this into a massive product.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Are you guys talking about inventions?
Yes.
Okay. I invented something called the liquor knickers.
The liquor knickers?
I think I knew a few people who had that back in college.
Explain
so what
to
you
us.
do, I do it now. I haven't come up with a prototype yet, but what I do when I go to a show is I take all those mini bottles of booze and I tape them right on the inside of my underwear on my belt line.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to do is like invent a pair of underwear with like basically like shotgun shell holders, and you can slip the mini liquor bottles inside that all along your belt line, and you'll save like a ton of money at shows.
You know what? There's most definitely a market for that.
Oh yeah, man.
Be on sale. What was that old store? San Francisco. It'll be on
the
shelves.
Spencer's Gift Shop.
Spencer's Gifts worldwide.
Yeah, man, the It Store.
I love it. I don't know if I'm ready to invest in your company, but I will buy a pair when they come out.
Well, when you see me on Shark Tank, you'll be saying,
should have cashed in.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Kamala Harris probably feels like she's waiting for the reply on the "we need to talk" text.
Oh my God. I mean, that's just it. Basically, America told her, like, hey, do you got a second?
Yeah.
And then didn't reply right away.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting in, I think, whatever hotel or whatever.
Everything's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
I mean, I'm sure they just wanted to ask about dinner plans for the weekend.
The whole election is just one big waiting process overall. I mean, yesterday, watching any sort of news outlet, it's very similar to watching like the trade deadline on Sportsnet, where they're just pandering the whole time.
The election is trade deadline day for political nerds. That's 100% what it is. Like, the election coverage in the States, and even here in Canada, CBC was running election coverage, started at like 6 a.m. yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
The polls didn't even start closing in the most eastern states until 6 p.m.
Which is exactly like hockey trade deadlines, where like nothing happens till the hour before it ends.
It was 12 hours of them not even legally being allowed to say, this is what we're hearing.
Yeah.
And now we're going to go through this again with Canada goes to the polls next year of like, can we just all agree? Let's take the day, do some stuff. We can meet back in the evening when you can actually talk to us.
Well, and the worst part is like they're declaring victory now, but like, will it be done today? Will it be done tomorrow? I mean, last time it took until the Saturday.
There are live streams from outlets like Reuters, like the news organization.
Yeah.
They're just live cameras into like vote counting centers so that you can see like people milling about.
God bless those people, man. Oh my God.
One, what an awful job to be up at 5 a.m. counting paper ballots.
Yeah.
Two, that actually might be a video I save for next time I'm having trouble sleeping. Oh my God, that'll knock you out in a heartbeat.
Waiting for the election is like waiting for the guy with the Winner Gagnon tickets. Like when you're at the gas station and all you keep hearing is Winner Gagnon.
You just needed to pop in to buy a pack of cigarettes, and guys got 48 different Lotto Max tickets that all need to be checked, and you're just like, come on, just get it over with.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
What's the hardest wait for you?
Oh my God, waiting for my wife when we're out and she has to go to the bathroom. I feel like I've wasted half my life just waiting. Just waiting and waiting.
You sound like a beaten man.
Oh, it's been years of my life waiting, I'm sure. Oh, 2 wives I've had, and both of them slow.
Are you still with the second one?
I'm still with the second one.
Okay,
I'm going to stick with this one for a while. Yeah. She's sleeping. She can't hear that.
I thought you were going to say she was in the bathroom.
She could be. She could be.
Well, I hope the wait is worth it, my friend.
It is.
Oh, that's awesome.
Cheers, buddy.
Thanks, man.
Oh, my God.
You know what he sounded like? You remember Shawshank Redemption? The old fella that keeps the crow in his pocket?
Yeah.
Brooks, that's who just called into the show there.
Oh, that guy sounds like he's done a lot of waiting.
Tracy texted in and said, worst thing to wait for. I will vouch for this because I have this every single morning. When you're sitting in a red light at like 5 a.m. and there are no other cars in sight. It's just you.
The one right outside the station.
Just
here.
right out here.
Yeah.
It's just you. There's no one else coming. If you crawled through the intersection, you could do so safely. And the light's like, no, hang on now.
The worst is when you have to go to the bathroom, too.
Oh,
you ever find when you have to go to the bathroom in the car, you hit every red light on the way home and you're prairie dogging?
Or if you're even on the highway and all of a sudden it's like, you know, it's crazy. I've hit the exact stretch of highway where there are no rest stops, no turnouts, no gas stations, and I just have to wait until I see something.
You start kind of riding in your seat a little bit. Like, the worst place to wait when you have to go to the bathroom, though, is an elevator.
Yeah.
Whether you're waiting for the elevator to go up or you're, like, in there.
You've never hit the closed door button so many times all at once.
Yeah.
When you're like, I'm finally in, let me go.
Oh, my God, that sucks so bad.
I will say something that people have been texting in that I can actually relate to is waiting for the results of a home pregnancy test.
Oh, I think that's either the most exciting or most stressful wait of anyone's life.
Honestly, probably both. Like, I remember I was there when we took the pregnancy test for when we were pregnant with Marcus. And we were just sitting there and you're just watching the stick. You know what I mean? You're just waiting for it to, like, plus or minus. And you just, hurry up. Tell us if there's a baby in there.
I've never been on the other side of the pregnancy test before. I've been like, come on.
It's a very different energy, but the waiting sucks either way.
The irony of the smiley face is all I'm saying. It's ridiculous.
Who are you smiling at? Huh?
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast.
As a ginger man, I think you can agree that, you know, sometimes gingers do get made fun of.
Sometimes, yeah. Like when the sun comes up.
There's been National Kick a Ginger Day, all this stuff.
Gingers have souls, the whole South Park thing.
No souls, but...
Oh, no, I'm talking about that song that went viral about a decade ago. Yeah, it was awful.
Well, some good news for gingers, specifically ginger men. This is because, according to a new study with Science, they say gingers or redheads are actually better in bed.
How you doing? What's up?
This is specifically because of the gene connected to redheads, the MC1R gene.
Okay.
They say this gene makes individuals more sensitive to touch than people with other hair colors.
Wouldn't that make them worse in bed?
Here, keep listening.
Carry on.
It's the same gene that makes redheads more susceptible to hot and cold temperatures.
Sure.
You know, and then it also says you guys have a higher pain threshold, so if you're a little kinky as well.
Yes, I have heard the pain thing. Not necessarily in that context.
So a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B with the sensitivity and the pain threshold there.
Right.
And then on top of that, they say that it is easier for gingers, overall men and women, to ride 6 white horses, if you know what I mean.
Again, I feel like combining that with the oversensitivity thing, I don't think that makes us necessarily better. It's better for us.
It does say in this study, which I don't know how they did this study, by the way.
Very curious as to the scientific method on this.
I'm curious who these scientists are. They said that ginger men have a better chance of making their partners come around the mountain.
Okay, all right. Sure, that's fantastic news.
So it turns out, if you're looking for some good whoopee,
right,
you just need someone with freckles and red hair.
I would like to put this on my resume. Is there a certificate I can apply for so that I have, like, you know, some sort of scientific proof?
I think it's all in the beard.
That's just it. If I put this red old beard on display, people see it like a big flag.
Yeah. New Tinder bio. May not have a soul, but I got that dog.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
A 71-year-old man in Oregon was riding his bike when an ambulance crashed into him.
It's just full on hit him?
The same ambulance then rushed him to the hospital. But here's the thing. They later billed him for the ride.
Come on.
So now he's taking them to court and he's suing them.
Absolutely he should. That's crazy.
$1,800 bill for the hospital, which is like peak America, by the way.
Absolutely.
I just feel like you got to give a freebie if you hit them, right?
Well, I mean, this is like, you know how people talk about how, like, with parking enforcement, that they have quotas and they'll vulture your meter to make sure that they can give you the ticket.
Yeah.
Doesn't this feel like maybe this ambulance driver had a quota of like people he was supposed to bring in?
They're out looking for him.
He was one short, saw the old timer on the bike, was like, get him.
He's filed a lawsuit for over $990,000.
I mean, honestly, the pain and suffering of being at that age and struck by an ambulance.
Well, you got to think in the States, it's not only the hospital bill, but it's also the medical expenses on top of that, right?
Everything this guy's going to have to go through in the recovery process should probably be covered by the reckless ambulance that wiped him out.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
Did you see the clip of Kamala Harris flashing her phone to the crowd as she was... People are saying she was pretending to be on the phone with someone.
Right. She was allegedly taking a phone call from a supporter, which, like, what regular average voter got the vice president of America's cell phone
And then
number?
she pans to the crowd to, like, get them to cheer for her. Here, I've got the clip.
How you doing? Have you voted already? Give me a second. You did? Thank you.
And as the crowd's cheering, she's showing them her phone, but it's the camera app is open.
Yeah.
It's the you can literally see on the camera, like, the people standing behind her.
Which you would think that if you were going to hold up the phone, you would expect to see that standard. She has an iPhone. You would expect to see that standard on a call, maybe the dial pad, the number of the caller, that sort of thing.
And people are claiming that she wasn't actually on the phone.
It was a fake phone call.
The confidence is the worst part of all of that.
Well, I think, first of all, you've got to acknowledge that she's using the same voice to speak to this alleged voter that I used to use when, like, my kids learned to wipe their own ass. You know? You did? Oh, thank you.
So true.
Which, like, just that in itself. But then, like, what are we doing? Why are you pretending to take a call? You're in a room full of people that voted for you.
If you haven't seen this video, text Kamala to 762-555 or check the podcast links. We'll throw it in there. I'm not trying to defend anyone, but I will say as soon as I saw this video, me and Courtney were laughing our asses off, and I just wanted to try something.
Okay.
I called Courtney,
sure,
and then I opened my camera app, and you can still technically make a call with the camera app open, so maybe it happened?
Is absolutely, from a technological, functional standpoint on both Androids and iPhones, you can be on a call and open the camera app. Now, I can't speak to iPhones because I am an Android guy. I know it's very easy, actually, to open the camera app by accident on an Android phone. But there's a big green bar at the top of the screen that says touch to return to call.
Yeah.
And I didn't see no green on Kamala's phone.
I just feel like the balls you would have to turn the phone to the crowd if you were faking it is insane.
It's a weird decision to fake it. I don't understand the value, the point. She didn't win the election, so clearly it didn't help. But
maybe she was taking a selfie. I don't know, man.
I just don't see a world where that was anything other than a fake phone call, and she got busted on what might be the worst possible stage. The entire world watched this 60-year-old woman
so cringy, man.
try and pretend she got a phone call from a voter.
I'm not trying to defend anyone, but then again, I mean, she is a politician, so they're always full of crap regardless.
That's just it. And that's the thing. This is not because it's Kamala Harris or because she's a Democrat. It doesn't matter what political candidate on what party this would be so cringy, and that's what it was.
The Brock and Dalby Podcast.
You know, the worst part about this whole Kamala phone scandal is the fact that if she does officially lose the election, we're probably never going to get a legit answer from her if she was on the phone or not.
Publish the call logs. That's what we want to see.
You know, a few elections ago, we were worried about Hillary's emails.
Yeah, no, I want to see a screenshot of her incoming calls. You can blur out everything else, but I need one that timestamp matches.
I will say, because a lot of people are making jokes about this whole situation, and it is funny and it is cringe, but it is kind of a glass house situation Because everybody has done this where they pretended to be on the phone.
I was notorious. I used to have to take a half-hour bus ride each way to get to work when I was first starting in radio, and I was notorious for getting on my little Samsung flip phone.
Yeah.
If someone sat next to me and was like, "Hey, how you doing, man?" "Oh, sorry, I got to take this and I would talk to myself for the whole 30 minutes if I
think we've all done it before, where whether it's you're walking home from the bar or you just happen to walk by someone who looks a little sketchy and you're like, I'm just going to pretend to be on my phone right now.
Just going to make it look like either you didn't want to talk to somebody or you wanted to make it seem like you were connected to someone, or the other thing, which I think this is what Kamala kind of got busted doing, was you want to make yourself seem more important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People who are like, you're like meeting someone for the first time, you're like, oh, hang on, I got a phone. Oh, my big charity donation went through? Oh, I'm so glad. You know, I love to help orphan kids.
You know what would have been the best is if she actually got a phone call she held the phone up to the crowd.
That's right, because right now she is being questioned over why is her camera app open when she's showing off her phone. If that screen had flipped to her getting a phone call.
That's had to have happened to someone at some point in time where they're pretending to be on the phone and then it starts ringing on them.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you're just trying to pretend like, oh, I'm too busy, I can't talk to you right now, and then all of a sudden, bring.
Even worse than that is like, have you ever been caught like pretending to do something on your phone, like texting or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
You're at a house party and you're bored, you don't know anyone, so you're just like opening up the calculator app for no reason.
Right.
Clicking around.
You're just, again, trying to make yourself seem more important. Oh, I'll be with you in just a second. I'm actually just doing something. And it's like the Wordle.
That classic thing that we all do where we move from the 4 different apps that we always use on our phone.
Yeah. Or just like the way we like move our thumbs, that like, you don't type that fast. Why are you just wiggling your thumbs around? There's no way you're actually accomplishing anything.
It's funny because we're all scared to be awkward when we're just being even more awkward. It's all it is.
Maybe Kamala Harris is more like us than we thought.
This is the Brock and Dalby Podcast. Would you rather Wednesday? Would you rather Wednesday?
All right. I want to give a round of applause to everyone for not being political this morning. Thank you very much.
I'm not applauding everybody. I just saw Jason's text. Would you rather be known for hating turtles or smelling like roast beef? How about I'd rather be known as a loving father of 2. I'd rather be known as someone who's involved in the community.
I mean, but you got to pick an option. That's how the game works, right? I myself would say I'd rather smell like roast beef than hate a beautiful creature on earth like turtles. But I don't want to speak for you because I know this is a personal one.
You know what? I hate everything. That includes turtles. You have beaten me down so much over the last 4 years.
So if you hate roast beef, does that mean you hate a part of yourself?
I'm not. What? No part of me is beef. What are you talking about?
I don't know where there's a smell coming from.
There's no smell. I've never harmed a turtle.
I wasn't going to read the question. You brought it up.
I just needed to point out that you're like, everybody did such a great job today, and Jason can go to hell. Right?
You brought it on yourself. Someone said, would you rather be the worst professional hockey player of all time or the worst rock artist of all time?
Oh, it's got to be the worst hockey player of all time.
Yeah?
What? Because the key word is professional. If I am the worst professional hockey player of all time, I'm still a professional hockey player.
Still getting paid.
League minimum.
Yeah.
Whereas if I might already be the worst rock star of all time. I don't know. I've never put out an album. I've never booked a gig.
Corey Feldman's doing pretty good.
Is he the worst, though? He's weird.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it doesn't sound great, but I think there's worse out there. I've watched American Idol audition episodes.
That is true, though. Once you get the contract, you're pretty good. And, I mean, even, like, you look like a Paul Bissonnette. Like, he's on hockey panels now, right? And he wasn't the best hockey player.
You can have a cup of coffee in the league, and you can turn that into a full-time career. Whereas if you're the worst rock star of all time, probably no one's ever heard of you.
Yeah.
And that's, now what?
Yeah,
now you got to work a 9 to 5.
Now you got a bunch of CDs in your garage. Would you rather look like a fish or smell like a fish?
Define look like a fish. Like, am I scaly? Do I have arms and legs, or am I just one, like, floppy body?
You got that weird, like, fish face, you know?
I can handle having a fish face. I'm not a particularly attractive man.
I think I'd rather have the smell, though, because people can get over the smell.
I don't know.
Versus, like, it would suck to know, like, people are looking at you and thinking, like, this guy looks like a fish all the time.
You honestly tell me right now if you think that when you met, you guys just had your 5th anniversary, which congratulations, by the way, but if 5 years ago you met Courtney for the first time and you smelled like fish, you're single today. Like, you're not in a relationship today.
I've been in worse circumstances. Moving on. Would you rather be able to control fire or control water?
So, okay. Maybe this makes me a psychopath, but I just realized, what are humans made of?
Flesh?
And?
Bones?
We're like 90% water, some ridiculous statistic.
Yeah.
Theoretically, if you could control water, you could control people.
That's messed up.
I'm sorry that my brain went there. I'm not necessarily proud of it, but that does track, right? The same way that, what's his name, Magneto from the X-Men could control the iron in people's blood.
This is your villain origin story. You just went from saying you hate turtles and you hate everything, and now you want to control people. I'm pretty sure you did.
I said something like it because you forced me.
Listen. I don't have my hand up your ass, brother.
I would hope not.
For more Brock and Dalby, tune in weekday mornings 5:30 to 9.
The Brock and Dalby podcast is brought to you by badshop.ca, the Brock and Dalby merch store, with all proceeds going to the Canadian Cancer Society.